I should probably start all that over since I messed it up. This episode of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, Iowa Betting Recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 325 times your entry with their new Pick 8. Sign up with promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer of up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. We're also brought to you by Rhythm. Get the best data-driven props and picks from Rhythm. Claim your 7-day free trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/RITHMM. All right. Welcome in to this edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast, recap style. Obviously, I am not Rod Villagomez, but I'm Cody Zeeb. Rod is off on some Army duty, couldn't join us today, unfortunately. So, joined by my buddy, James Rowland. He was actually at the races this weekend in Iowa, so wanted to bring him on and get his perspective. James, how are you doing?
Man, I am doing excellent, and I think it's so funny after we were talking on your Wednesday episode. I guess we weren't talking, but I was in the chat, and Rod had made the joke that I was going to jump in and steal his job. Rod, I am still not coming for your job. I do not know enough about gambling to do that, but man, it's a pleasure to be here, especially after a great weekend of racing.
That is funny. I forgot that we did make that joke, and then suddenly here you are, and no, Rod. The chat's already blowing up. Nick Fortune saying afternoon Hot Rod and Sassy Cody. And he says, oh crap, Hot Rod is not in. But says afternoon Sassy Cody and Roland. Andrew checking in as well. Sup, Cody. Sup, Andrew. How's it going? It was an interesting betting weekend, which we'll get into in a little bit. Had some ups and a lot of downs for sure. But James wanted to bring you in and just talk about what it was like being there for the first ever NASCAR Cup Series race at Iowa Speedway.
Man, I tell you what, unpredictable is kind of an understatement. I'm not surprised that you guys had an up and down weekend when it came to the bets because nobody really knew what we were getting into going into it, especially after Friday practice when we saw some kind of tire issues after 20 or 30 laps. Frankly, I kind of thought the race was going to wind up to be a shit show, but it ended up being a spectacular show kind of from start to finish. I wasn't there for Xfinity on Saturday. My brother, his wife, and I rolled down Sunday morning and got there, I don't know, right about noon when we rolled up to the track. That's kind of in our family bloodline to get there as early as humanly possible. But we managed to have a blast all day up until the start of the race, and then it just continued to get better and better from there.
That's awesome. That's awesome. It seemed like, I mean, from the TV perspective, like, everybody kind of assumed not really going to be much passing, the short track racing we've had lately, but it seemed to me like there was a good amount of passing and like the track was pretty racy. Is that what it felt like for you being there?
Oh, absolutely, 100%. I can't imagine what it would have been like if they had done a complete repave. But like you had mentioned, the people that just watch the TV side of a broadcast never get that. Even some of the most boring races that I've been to at Kansas Speedway are far more exciting when you're there because you're not just panned in on the top three cars. You actually get to watch the battles that go on throughout the field. And I tell you what, they were racing at the front yesterday. They were racing at the back. There was so much more three wide racing than what the TV actually showed. I mean, you keep letting Iowa Speedway come back on the Cup Series schedule, and I think you're going to be in for a good one. In my opinion, that was probably the second or third best short track race of the next gen era to me.
Yeah, I think it's pretty hard to argue that. Granted, that's a fairly low bar, obviously. But I do want to tell you
Yeah.
about before we continue, I want to tell you about, well, I should have a graphic somewhere, but I don't. That's all right. You guys know how it is when I host a show, so you're just going to watch me do the ad read anyways. But the countdown is on for football season. SGPN has got you covered. The college football experience, doing individual team previews for every college football team. Plus, SGPN's 5-minute fantasy football is a quick and dirty podcast for you to get prepped for all things fantasy. Make sure you check that out. Dave doing a great job over there. It's like 3 5-minute episodes a week. Nice and easy. Just the quick hitting fantasy football news that you need, and then the college experience if you ever need to just sit back and laugh and listen to a guy that knows way too much about college football. It is Colby Dance, so make sure you check them out. All right, back to the racing at Iowa Speedway. Andrew says, am I the only one who had a good weekend, LOL? The JDK checking in and says, yes, Andrew, you are the only one. Oh, man. Sam Mayer outright in Xfinity was about the extent of my gambling hits this weekend. But I don't know. I just, how surprising was it for you, James, for, the biggest surprise to me was Toyota not showing up. Going in, we don't really know what to expect, but all the kind of comparison tracks, you thought this was probably going to be heavy Ford. I thought it was going to be heavy Ford. Toyota, I thought Chevy would struggle a little bit. But Chevy Christopher Bell showed his flashes, right? And he ended up there at the end. But, having to come from the back and in the backup car obviously hurt him a little. But Toyota seemed like they just didn't figure anything out. Denny Hamlin getting lapped on lap 35. That's something that almost never happens. What were your thoughts on the Toyotas this weekend?
Man, I'm kind of right there with you. I was kind of sleeping on the Chevrolet. I'm a little bit more of a Toyota guy when it comes to the Cup Series myself, so I was a little bit surprised at kind of the fall off that Toyota had. Not a great day for Toyota. Excellent day for Ford, which I did not see coming, but I truly thought that we were going to be in for another episode of the Kyle Larson show. I thought he was going to keep up that week of dominance. And unfortunately, between Suarez and Hamlin, the Kyle Larson train kind of got derailed. So I feel bad for the guys that picked him, probably you.
Yep, that was me. Yeah. Oh man, that's it wasn't it was a good bet, and especially with getting him at plus 750 like we did early in the week, great value. He obviously was the fastest, best car. Suarez, I guess, and I really think that Larson was probably pushing it a little bit, but he had the room there, and Suarez kind of came up on him, which sucked. I think that would have turned a lot of people's betting weekend around had Larson kind of held on. It was nice to see Ryan Blaney get the victory, obviously, after running out of fuel with just a lap remaining 2 weeks ago at a very similar track. And then, of course, he had, 80-plus family members in attendance with his mom being from down the road. So that was great to see Ryan Blaney capture the victory there. Laura said it was a big ugh, laugh out loud, and that is definitely true. Let's see, James, we're going to bring you back up. Hey, welcome back. Nick wants to know, will Iowa get another NASCAR race next year? So far, I heard it was a sellout and a great race. A lot of things going on with the schedule, and I think that Iowa was kind of a placeholder for Mexico, for Canada, which appear like maybe they're coming on to the scene next year. So it'll be interesting. I think that everything Iowa did this weekend deserves to have another race next week, or next year, rather. So I really hope that we see them go back. Hopefully it's on a weekend where I can attend. James and I can drive up there together and attend the race. It'll be a lot of fun. But do you think they're coming back next year?
I think they're going to come back next year. That might just be personal bias because I'm going to be upset if they don't. That was just such a fun atmosphere to go to. Yeah, that was just such a fun atmosphere to be around. You get out to Eagle, you see how they pack that place on a high limit night. I had never been to a sold out Cup Series race before, and that was an absolute blast. And I know that if the Cup Series comes back, the people of Iowa are going to come back too, and I'll definitely be one of them. So I think they're going to come back on the schedule. My unpopular opinion, that's what I'm for, is unpopular opinion. I think we're going to lose the date if they don't start putting some more people in those grandstands, and I could see Richmond losing a spring date in favor of the Mexico race. So that's just kind of my hot take for the day, but I think we're going to see Iowa Speedway again.
Yeah, I think you're right.
I would hate to see them take the momentum away by taking a year off.
Yeah, absolutely. With the crowd that came in, all the people that were there, the great racing that we got, it was an exciting race. Last I looked on the Jeff Gluck poll, it was trending very positive. I think it was at 92% this morning when I saw it. So that's always a good sign. We know that NASCAR looks at that kind of stuff. So hopefully that will be the case. All right, James. Well, I appreciate you joining me. Anything else you want to touch on before you head out?
Just kind of a quick somber note for those kind of around the area. I know this is mainly a NASCAR show, and this gentleman was a huge part of NASCAR back in the day. We lost a local announcing legend in Stan Caesar this afternoon. Stan got his announcing start way back before I was ever thought of being alive. He did a lot of NASCAR series announcing at I-80 Speedway under the NASCAR banner and at Sunset Speedway. Just a longtime announcer and a fantastic mentor. One thing that Stan Caesar taught me from my first day in the announcer's booth is never try to be like anyone else. Always try and be yourself. And a lot of people will tell you that, but Stan Caesar was truly an individual that absolutely meant it. And he was unapologetically himself from the day he was born until we lost him today. So fly high, my friend. Appreciate everything you've done for us, Stan Caesar.
Yeah, absolutely love that. I know that there's quite a
few.
Go
to Iowa. Go to Kansas.
Yes. Yeah, I know that there's quite a few local people that listen here in the area. And I grew up, I remember him from Sunset Speedway as a little kid and then on at I-80 as well, listening to him every single weekend, call races, and he was great. So James, of course, is a local guy here that calls the races as well. So great to see that. Is there anywhere people can follow you for your stuff, James? I know you've got the Roland Race News and stuff like that.
Yeah, Roland Race News on Facebook. I've got some kind of TikTok thing if you find me over there, but those are pretty much just the socials. I stay off Twitter except for the Jeff Gluck poll.
There you go. Good call. Yes. All right. Well, appreciate you joining me. Thanks for coming in and giving the expected the view from being there at the race. I appreciate it.
Hey, absolutely. I appreciate being on, guys. We'll see you soon. Make good bets. Have fun.
See ya. Thanks, James. All right, guys. Going to try and do the rest of this show solo, so bear with me. You know that I am not the professional that Rod is, but we can get this done. Just going to go through and recap all the bets quick. We unfortunately didn't get the recap show last week, so wanted to make sure we had one this week. But first, I want to tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Pick 8 is now live for the NBA Finals. Create entries with up to 8 picks, and Underdog will automatically double flex entries, so you can miss up to 2 picks and still win your entry. That comes in handy when Daniel Suarez takes out Kyle Larson in the middle of the race. I may or may not know that from experience. With more picks to make and extra ways to win, the excitement is even higher than ever. This part, you can win up to 325 times your original amount. You can now use specials and boosts on all flex entries. I can't wait to make pick 8. I'm going to use probably Martin Truex Jr. this weekend, to be honest with you. As we go to New Hampshire, I think he's going to be good. Don't miss your chance to try it before it's gone. Go over to Underdog Fantasy right now. Sign up using that promo code RACESGPN to claim your special pick plus first-time deposit offer up to $250. Bonus cash, UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code RACESGPN. All right, going back over to the comment section. Lexi checking in. What's up? Says Cody is alone. Sad face. Don't worry. Rod will be back with me tomorrow on the Cup Series betting episode. Unfortunately, he's long story, but he's in Virginia for some Army school. Very busy day today. Wasn't going to be able to make it on. And we didn't want to go 2 weeks without giving you a recap show. So help me out here, chat, and keep things rolling. I did see a majority of the Cup Series race. I didn't see all of the Xfinity Series race this weekend. We had a lot of softball going on, why I couldn't be there in person. But I'm going to breeze through the picks here quick and just kind of give a quick recap. I think really the way to set this up is going into this, we didn't really know what to expect, right? They'd never been to Iowa before for the Cup Series. Yes, we had some Xfinity Series stuff, but even that had been 5 years ago. Truck Series even longer. Ryan Blaney, of course, wins the Cup Series. He'd won here previously in trucks and Xfinity, so maybe that had something to do with it. But I think more so, you look back at the last couple of weeks, places like Gateway, Ryan Blaney was really good there. Not super shocking to see him be good here as well. Toyota's, like I talked about with James, obviously kind of the biggest thing that was a huge surprise. Christopher Bell, wrecks in practice, goes to the backup car, starts at the back, ends up finishing in 4th. But outside of that, really wasn't in competition throughout the day to finish much better. Denny Hamlin with an absolutely just horrible day. Like I said, got lapped on lap 35. Ends up finishing in 24th. I mean, just had nothing all day long. Martin Truex Jr. was another one. 15th place finish for him. Definitely kind of interesting there. It makes you wonder going forward into next week, not to look too far ahead over at New Hampshire, but how much is this going to translate there? I know that Ryan over at iFantasy Racing had said, although I do consider Iowa a shorter, flatter track, not considering it all that relevant for New Hampshire in terms of content. I think I agree with him there. I think that there's a few things you could take away from this, i.e. Ryan Blaney still being good at short flats. But really, in Fords in general, right? Joey Logano, Josh Berry, kind of not too surprising up there. But I think that other than that, probably not a ton we're going to carry forward. Now, hopefully coming back here next season, we'll, have this stuff to look back on. Laura checking in. AJ was a big disappointment. Understatement of the year, Laura. Of course, one of the bets I had was AJ Allmendinger top finishing Chevrolet, 100-1. Trying to pay for the kids' college over here, AJ. And you finished dead last. So if you flip the order upside down, you can maybe try and argue that to the books because he was the top Chevrolet from the back. But he had a bad weekend in Xfinity and in the Cup Series. So just not good for him. JDK saying Gibbs was shit too. Yeah, Ty Gibbs was really bad this weekend, which sucked to see. And really, that we'll go into the first bet with that. Rod had Tyler Reddick over Ty Gibbs. Man, you felt like Reddick. He showed some speed early in practice, and you're like, all right, here we go. This is going to be the Tyler Reddick of normal. And then, just absolutely nothing from him. He started in 8th place, but really was not around the front all day long. Bad finish for him in 22nd. Only saved in this head-to-head by the fact that Ty Gibbs finished in 25th and was just a little bit worse. So don't really know what to take away from why the Toyotas were just so bad this weekend. I don't think that it's anything where we need to hit the panic button or freak out about Toyota going forward. I think that obviously last week at Sonoma, Truex was one of the best cars. Christopher Bell was one of the best cars at Gateway a couple weeks ago. He was still good this weekend. So not going to overreact, but, definitely interesting from that. But I think that may be about the only bet that hit in this entire card, unfortunately, for the Cup Series was Reddick over Gibbs. I had Brad Keselowski top 5 plus 220. You felt good about this. Brad having been the one that tested here, expecting Ford to be pretty good. 10th place finish from Brad. I don't know. He was he was hanging around top 10 all day, like 8th in stage 1, 9th in stage 2, but he started 5th too. It's not like he started that bad. So I don't know. Just never felt like Brad was really good, had a top 5 car throughout the day, which was kind of unfortunate. I know Buescher was up there for a little bit, had some pit strategy. Tire ended up biting him. James kind of touched on that too. We thought after practice tires were going to be a big issue. They were. I think there was 8 tire incidents throughout the day where guys had flat tires and stuff. So it definitely played into factor a few different times, but maybe not to the amount of things that we thought. Laura said she had him top 3, thinking AJ Allmendinger probably. Unfortunately, we just never really got a chance. He was out so early in the race that you never really got a chance. James checking in over on the YouTube from Rolling Race News. AJ got booed by the entire crowd at the Chevy stage for saying, "Go Big Red." Oh, did he really say that? That's fucking great. I love AJ Allmendinger now. He is my new favorite driver. Sorry, Corey LaJoie, you and your stupid Iowa Hawkeyes car. By the way, seeing that Iowa Hawkeye car wreck on lap 4, I generally don't like to see Corey spin out, but I wasn't super sad about that. Rod had, going to his next bet, Chase Elliott and Chris Buescher, top 10 plus 200. Chase Elliott held up his deal. I was flat out wrong on Hendrick this weekend. I didn't think they were going to be good. I didn't think Chevy was going to be good. In the bonus bets episode on Sunday or Saturday, I took the Chevy under top 5 bet, but that's because I expected Toyota to be good. They weren't. Chevy was very strong. Byron was 2nd, Chase Elliott in 3rd. Even Bowman got a top 10 in 8th place. Stenhouse sneaking into the top 5, which was great to see for him. But Chase Elliott did hold up his end of this. Chris Buescher did not. Buescher probably would have finished top 10 or around there. But of course, that flat tire late cost him. Ends up back in 18th place. So that one did not hit. I do feel really good. Again, we didn't hit a ton of bets in this episode, but we did have a lot of really close ones that really could have turned the day around if just a couple of things would have gone differently. 2 of those were my top 10 bets. Carson Hocevar at 9-1. Justin Haley at 6-1. Look, these guys finished in 14th for Hocevar, 13th place for Justin Haley. So very strong days for these guys at 6-1, 9-1 for top 10s to be 3-4 spots outside of the top 10 at the end of the day. That's exactly what you're asking for. You're not going to hit these every time. We hit them at Gateway a couple weeks ago. They show up again, have a good run. Shout out to Todd Gilliland with a 12th place finish as well. Very impressive from him. So, man, just like good bets, didn't hit, but definitely had the right thought, right mindset. Justin Haley, holy shit. Did he make the best decision ever possibly? Going to Rick Ware Racing, leaving Colleague at the right time. Everybody was like, what do you think you're doing? You're killing your career. But he has just continued to impress over there. Some rumors today, maybe he's going somewhere different next year. Wood Brothers Ride potentially calling his name. Chase Briscoe was originally probably slated to go there, but looks like he could be going to, over to Gibbs or something like that. So Justin Haley might make this into something, but good to see him be impressive. Rod at Tyler Reddick, top 5, plus 220. Again, talked about this. Looked fast in practice, and you were like, okay, here we go. But outside of that, just did not see anything from the Hamburglar this weekend. Great paint schemes on those two 2311 Toyotas. Just not good days for them. And JDK going back to Elliott too, said Elliott ran so damn good. Man, Chase Elliott just consistently, he's the points leader now, right? He's been consistent this entire season. Top 20 finish in every race this season, I believe he has. So it's not, I don't know, he's not quite to the level of a Byron Larson being able to dominate a race, but just continues to be up there. So top 5s probably for him. I don't know that you're going to get good numbers on top 10s. If he qualifies bad, you might. Going to be something to keep an eye on. James checking in again. Yes, he did put AJ on the car lift for the remaining road courses. I might have to do that. JDK had Gilly top 10 at plus 450, holding on right till the end and just missed. So, so close on that. That definitely sucks to get that close. I had Justin Haley to win Group F, plus 245. If you'd have told me going into this that Justin Haley finishes in 13th place in this group, hell yes, sign me up. I would definitely take it. It was over Zane Smith. Zane Smith ended up where Zane Smith usually ends up, which was 31st place. Ryan Priest was in this group, and Priest ends up in 27th. Again, kind of where you expect him to be. But then Ricky Stenhouse Jr. starts second to last on the field, 35th position, all the way into 5th. Less race. So he obviously steals the group from Haley, but plus 245. You're telling me that in this group, Justin Haley is going to finish 13th. I would take this bet 10 out of 10 more times. Stenhouse just got us there. Love the move that they played when they stayed out and trapped all those cars to lap down. I'd heard his crew chief had mentioned, I think Jeff Gluck was saying, his crew chief mentioned that happened to them earlier this season at Texas. And they were like, okay, we're going to use this in the future if we ever get the chance to do so. It popped up. They got the chance. So, yeah. Another bet that did hit, props to Rod, by the way. He's the one who had the bets that hit this week, was William Byron, top 3, 4-1. So this was a good bet. Hopefully you got in on this one. Obviously, Byron getting in on second place. Finish for him. Had a strong car. I don't think he really led much throughout the day, but was kind of up there in the mix, kind of catching Blaney a little bit at the end. He had the fresher tires, of course. I don't think he was ever really going to run him down. I think Ryan maybe trying to save a little gas just to make sure we don't run out a second time in a couple of weeks. But solid run by William Byron. So great call by Rod. I was just completely out on Hendrick Motorsports. Like I said earlier, big time miss on my part for that because they were very strong this weekend. And, of course, the one guy I was on, ends up having the issues. But that's how it's going to go. Denny Hamlin, top 5, plus 125. Man, this one, just never really had any type of life at all. Denny starts in 12th. I think by lap 5, he was in like 30th. Of course, like I mentioned before, 35 laps into the race, gets lapped. That was kind of the end of the day for Hamlin. Again, I think we're just going to throw this race out. We'll have to see what Rod feels, as we get into the betting episode tomorrow. But I'm probably not going to hold this race against a guy like Denny Hamlin. I'm probably not even going to hold it against the Toyotas. They should be really good at New Hampshire next week. I think there's a big enough notebook there, even though it's only been 2 next-gen races, that they'll be fine there. So I'm not too worried about that. I am Notorious checking in, Rod's brother, of course. Cody with the solo show out here making my brother proud. I don't know if that will be the case, but hope to see Rod pop back up soon, but knows the schedule. Rod will be back tomorrow on the betting episode if you're just tuning in. So don't worry. Nobody wants me to be the only person on this podcast ever. So not even myself. But I top Toyota. I did take a stab at Martin Truex Jr. plus 550. Looking back, I mean, he finishes 15th, but he's the second best finishing Toyota on the day. So that's kind of what you were expecting. Christopher Bell should be the best Toyota, should finish the best. He ends up doing so with a fourth place finish. But if Bell has a problem late, like a Kyle Larson does, like a Denny Hamlin does early in this race, you expected Denny to be up there, you expected Reddick to be up there. They weren't up there. You're taking a bigger group and putting a decent number out there, and a guy that's good at short flat tracks in Martin Truex Jr. at plus 550. So I feel like you still got pretty good value there. Unfortunately, obviously, this one does not come through. AJ Allmendinger, top Chevy, 100-1. We talked about it earlier. I was sort of expecting Chevy to look like Toyota did. And with that, you end up with a guy like Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in fifth place. If that happens and Byron and Elliott aren't right in front of him, that's what you were kind of looking for with this type of bet. AJ obviously goes out early, and the bet's toast. But it was a swing for the fences, trying to hit something, trying to catch the unpredictability of this place. Was a lot of unpredictability. That just wasn't it, unfortunately. Race to go to overtime. Yes, Rod had that at plus 300. Didn't hit, obviously. No late cautions in that one. Fair amount of cautions throughout the day. Some questionable cautions too, maybe, but that's how it goes. His only outright was Denny Hamlin, 7-1. Talked about Denny earlier. I had Chris Buescher at 20-1. I don't know if it ever really had life throughout the day. He was kind of up there, had some strategy to put him up front, but obviously the blown tire late, that kind of sank his day. Truex at 12-1. Again, just kind of a complete no-show, so toss that one out. But Kyle Larson plus 750. This was the bet to make. I will say this is why we don't bet Kyle Larson when he's plus 350, when he's plus 300. That's why you can't bet on him, because he can go have the best car. His crew chief said it perfectly. Like, we have the best car by a fucking mile, and it wasn't even close. They really did. But obviously, the contact with Suarez there late destroys the car, sends him to the garage, and ends Larson's day. But plus 750 was an absolute steal. Again, I would place this bet 100 out of 100 more times with the information we had coming into this track. And obviously, starts on a pole. That's great. Leads a bunch of laps. Even when he thought he had the tire going down, pits, comes back out, and just blows right back through the field like they were standing still. Was great to see for having a plus 750 ticket. Not the result you want at the end of the day, unfortunately, but that's how it goes sometimes. So that's how it goes. That'll wrap up the Cup Series. Congratulations to Ryan Blaney. NBC will tell you that he's now locked into the playoffs, even though mathematically that's not possible, but that's okay. Shout out to those other guys who had great days as well. And I have one more thing to tell you about here. Look at that. I even found the graphic this time. We're brought to you by Rhythm. If you're betting on NBA player props, possibly the final game of the NBA Finals tonight, if Boston can close things out, then you need to download Rhythm. Rhythm is the go-to sports betting tool that transforms complex data into actionable insights, empowering bettors with smarter, data-driven decisions. Unlike other platforms, Rhythm combines advanced predictive analytics with an initiative user experience, making betting both easy and enjoyable. Rhythm's predictive models were born from the brains of MIT data scientists and quants with over 3 years of experience to help you drive out better AI-backed betting decisions. Rhythm is great at identifying value on each player. Rhythm had Hauser over 5.5 points in Game 4 and nailed it. Claim your free 7-day trial today by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/rhythm. That's sportsgamblingpodcast/RITHMM. I am not the professional that Rod is, but we have made it through all the ad reads. So shout out to all of you who have stuck with this so far. Again, Rod will be back tomorrow. Thank God, because, here we are anyways. So going over to the Xfinity Series race. Like I said, I tried to kind of keep up on this. I saw a lot at the beginning of the race. Then we had some softball that I was coaching, and so did not catch all of it. But Sam Mayer saved the day. Obviously, getting the victory was huge for our card, and 12-1 hit on that helps a ton, obviously. I tried. Look, guys, I tried. I tried to do it with SVG. I put all my faith and belief in him. He not only wrecked in practice, but he then again wrecked in the race. I don't know. Again, this was kind of we didn't know exactly what we were going to get. There could be some things that open up in the top 5 if, let's say, Justin Allgaier wrecks out. Well, Justin Allgaier wrecks out. There could be some things that open in the top 5 if John Hunter Nemechek wrecks out. Well, John Hunter Nemechek wrecks out. Could be some things that open in the top 5 if Austin Hill wrecks out. Well, Austin Hill wrecks out. So you're kind of looking for a little bit of chaos. We got some for sure, especially with some of the big hitters. Not quite what you needed. And then obviously SVG had his issues early. But, had he survived that thing early, been able to hang around there, I think maybe he would have had a shot at the top 5 late. 18-1, it was worth a stab. Again, with the limited information we had coming in here. Like I said before, Xfinity been here, but it's been 5 years. It's so hard to look back on that and really take any of that to transfer it forward. So hard to take anything from that, I think. Rod had Austin Hill over Brett Moffitt at plus 100 over on Superbook. Moffitt really not what you kind of hoped from him. In the Joe Gibbs Racing 19 car, hometown kid from the Iowa area. You're like, all right, here's a big chance. He's done so good in Xfinity and just kind of didn't get it done. Unfortunately, not really. I mean, 7th after stage 1, so was running up front there. I'm not sure what happened to him after that point, but he ends up finishing in 18th place. Now, he obviously did cash this head-to-head because Austin Hill was involved in the wreck. Austin Hill starts first place after the qualifying rains out, so you're like, all right, here we go. You're going to put Austin Hill up front and hope he can keep it up there. But unfortunately, he wrecked out. I also had him a top 5 at plus 240. I can't see him. I don't know. Early on in the season, we were just nailing Austin Hill. Well, probably because it was easy, because it was every week. You just bet him top 5, and he was finishing top 5. Now, when I bet him top 5, he doesn't finish in the top 5. When I don't bet him top 5, he does finish in the top 5. So I've lost my Austin Hill touch, I think. So unfortunate there. Ross Chastain, top 5 over on Caesars, plus 420 for Rod. I argued with him here. I said that it wasn't going to happen. Look, Ross Chastain ends up at 9th place. So at 4-1, I think Rod probably got pretty good value here. I mean, again, to the SVG point, to the Ross Chastain point, Matt DiBenedetto finished 7th place in this race. So you had enough chaos there. You get some veteran drivers, kind of hang around, stick up there. That's what you're hoping with Ross Chastain. We knew that 92 car wasn't going to be super fast. But if you can avoid the chaos, stick up there, maybe he gets the top 5. 9th place finish, so respectable for having him at plus 420 for sure. I had Sheldon Creed to win Group A over on Bet365, plus 260. It was over Ross Chastain, Sammy Smith, Riley Herbst. Riley Herbst decided to finally finish a race. 2nd place for him. Strong day. It's good to see. Look, we knew this was coming again eventually, right? We've talked about how Riley's been good. We know the talent's there. They've just been on the shit end of the luck, much like a Sam Mayer was for a while early on in the season. Herbst got over that this weekend, ends up with a 2nd place. I think he was leading with 7 laps to go when Mayer got around him. And obviously the race goes in overtime, and Mayer was able to hold him off. But Riley Herbst, strong run, 2nd place. And then Sammy Smith with the top 4 finish. So I'm really kicking myself. I gave Sammy Smith as an outright at 25-1. I should have given him as a top 5. So looking back on that, definitely regret not doing that. But obviously both of those guys finished over Sheldon Creed. Sheldon Creed with a 5th place run. Solid day for him. We got pretty good value early in the week on him. He showed up and he didn't fuck it up. So that's a bonus in his column, I guess. But unfortunately, didn't cash this one. Rod had Jesse Love, top 3 at 3-1. Love was another victim of an incident there. So, I don't know. He was top 10 in stage 1, but kind of not up there after that. And then obviously gets in the wreck. Probably wasn't going to cash the top 3-1, but that's how it goes. I had Brett Moffitt, top 5, plus 200. This one didn't have a chance all day. I mean, talked about Moffitt earlier. Really disappointing. Was kind of trying to lean into the hometown angle. He's in a Gibbs car. They should be fast. The Gibbs cars were fast in this race, right? Toyota Gibbs didn't have any problems in the Xfinity side of things. Cup Series is where they struggled, but John Hunter Nemechek was very fast. Creed was fast. Chandler Smith was fast as well. So no issues there, but Moffitt just didn't really have it. Rod did have the winning car number as odd. I'm telling you, you don't argue with this guy when he gives out these bets because he nailed it. Winning car number odd. Obviously, Sam Mayer was odd. Chandler Smith led a good portion of this race. He's an odd numbered car as well. There was, second through seventh was all even numbered cars, but doesn't matter because first place was an odd numbered car in Sam Mayer. That's what matters. That's what cashed. I had Sheldon Creed to be the top finishing Toyota and 5-1, top 3 at 6-1. I tried calling my shot on Sheldon Creed and I just didn't call it right. Should have took the top 5, not the top 3. Creed comes home in 5th place. But he was up there throughout the day, 2nd in stage 1, fell back to 6th in stage 2, but kept it up there, kept it clean even through all the chaos. You don't always see that from Sheldon. We know how good he is at shorter, flatter tracks, so we'll see if the books correct that this week. He's not a guy that you like to bet on when his number's short just because he tends to fuck it up a lot. I don't want to put him in the same category as Kyle Larson, obviously, but there is some of the same elements when it comes to the betting type of thing there, where if he's too short, you don't want to really get in on him. But when you get in the long shot odds on him, which we did this weekend, I think it was good to get in on him. Misses out on these. Shout out to my guy Corey Heim with the top Toyota finish, 3rd place run in the Sam Hunt Toyota. Great day for him. Creed was the next best guy. Rod had winning manufacturer Toyota plus 110. Again, took this one for the number. You get heavy hitters up there in Sheldon Creed, Chandler Smith, John Hunter Nemechek. Obviously, all 3 of those guys had good, solid days until the end. So not necessarily a bad bet. Sam Mayer, of course, wins the race. Rod had given out Chandler Smith a plus 360. I couldn't do it. I couldn't pull the trigger. He hasn't impressed me here lately, but he was very strong throughout the race. He swept, obviously, both of the stages. Ends up falling back at the end there and ended up with the 8th place finish. So doesn't catch this, but he did look strong. I think that is a bonus looking forward. We're going to New Hampshire this weekend. Christopher Bell's going to be probably minus 400 to win the Xfinity Series race. Probably going to be pretty tough to beat him, but maybe we'll be able to get a decent number on Chandler with Bell being in the race, along with John Hunter. I had John Hunter at plus 350. He looked strong early on in the race, led quite a few laps there, but unfortunately caught up in the wreck. I had Sheldon Creed at 25-1, like I mentioned. Good, strong day for him. 5th place finish at 25-1, you'll take that. And Sammy Smith at 25-1. 4th place finish. Again, having 2 25-1 long shots to win this race, finish inside the top 5. I know the bets don't cash. I know that hurts, obviously. But finding that kind of value, that's how you hit the bets later on. You're not always going to hit them, but we were on the right track there, found value in those bets. There's something to be said for that. And then, of course, I had Sam Mayer, 12-1 over on Bet365. Hopefully, he got in on that early in the week. Starts 5th after qualifying got rained out, of course. Although I will say he looked like absolute shit during practice. Really, really fucking slow. Everybody's like, what is going on here? I don't know. And then, he hung up there all day. 3rd in stage 1, 2nd in stage 2. Obviously wins the race. The deal with Sam Mayer, and I told Rod this on the betting episode, like, why do we keep disrespecting this guy? Sam Mayer is an elite driver. He's very good. He's in strong equipment. We know how good the JRM equipment is. And he shows up. He's there at the end. Doesn't lead the entire day, doesn't dominate the race, but he's there at the end, puts himself in position, cashes the 12-1. So congratulations to Sam Mayer for that. And if you had that ticket, that was pretty much the bright spot of the weekend. So hopefully you did for Sam Mayer there. Shout out to Corey Heim with the top 3, Sammy Smith with the top 5, Matt DiBenedetto with the top 7, Daniel Dye getting the top 10 as well as Ross Chastain up there. Leland Honeyman, talked about him on the DFS episode, 13th place in that 42 car after starting in 25th. That is a strong DFS day for you. Now listen to the DFS episodes. I don't know what's wrong with you, but you should be. All right. Well, that pretty much wraps up Iowa betting weekend. Unfortunately, no Truck Series again this weekend. They're taking yet another week off. They will be in Nashville the following week, so we will have Truck Series next week again. But this coming week, Xfinity Cup Series, New Hampshire. Going to be a lot of the same kind of characteristics. We'll break it down more, obviously, in the betting episode tomorrow. Some stuff you can take for sure over from this race, but probably not going to carry a ton just because it's a lot different. So, Rod will be back tomorrow, thankfully, our fearless leader. We need him. Again, I think he enjoys when I do these solo shows or when I host the show at least, and it gives him a chance to remind everyone why he hosts this. So miss you, Rod. We'll see you tomorrow on the Cup Series episode. Appreciate everybody who who checked in on the comments. By the way, JDK checking in. Mayor over Little paid, LOL. If you're not in the Discord, again, another great plug for why you should be in the Discord channel, sg.pn/Discord. JDK was just hammering Sam Mayer over Jesse Little the entire weekend. Jesse Little does not even race in the Xfinity. He's a former Xfinity Series racer. Now he's a race director, doesn't even race. Bet365 left it up all week. I think it was supposed to be Jesse Love, and they paid it out as the Jesse Love bet. So shout out to you. Obviously, you could argue that it was not in the race had you lost. So kind of a win-win for you there. These are the types of nuggets you get over in the Discord. So make sure that you are getting in over there. And I guess, again, I'm always awkward at ending these, but thanks everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it. Rod's Beautiful Tones will be back tomorrow. I will gladly pass the lead mic to him and play the Checo Perez version of just being second best to Rod, because that's the type of role that I like better. So anyways, thanks for tuning in to the NASCAR Gambling Podcast. We'll see you tomorrow with some Cup Series picks, and let's go racing and let it ride.